Only 2 eggs today? Solidus must have taken the day off. 7, 8, 9, 2, 5, 9, 0, 3, 6, 0, 3, 3, 0, 5, 3, 0, 5, 4, 8, 8, 2, 4, 4, 6, 6, 5, 2, 1, 3.
C'est mère.
This is Snake. Do you read me?
What's the situation?
I'm just inside the city limits. This place is crawling with lizards.
Ah, AT Corps' unmanned bipedal weapons, officially designated Irving by the US military. They've spread like wildfire among the PMCs. There are more of those things now in service than tanks. They've got tough armor plating and are highly agile to boot. Your best bet is to stay out of their sights.
Unmanned. Pretty soon they'll have put living, breathing soldiers out of work.
Even so, that's an awful lot of gecko for this scenario. Their numbers exceed the war price for that region. It must have something to do with Liquid's arrival on the scene.
You really think he's here?
You'll have to find the Army's operatives and ask them yourself. Oh, and Snake, I went ahead and used the Mark II to scout out the area before your arrival. You'll find it up ahead.
Mark II?
It's a remote mobile terminal. Sonny and I built it. The Mark II will provide you with a map of the area as well as any battle situation data. You should find it before you do anything else.
Okay, got it.
The rendezvous point is marked on your map. I'll be waiting for you there.
Okay. Now, a lot of what I'm doing here is a bit of speedrun tech. Here I fucked up. This is actually used to skip the cutscene where a bunch of guards come in, and it's also used to distract the guards that are right next to you. Normally a bunch of guards would pour out of that vehicle that just passed me, but they're running up there. That is used to distract these guards. This is a bit iffy, because your timing has to be way more specific than you would believe, otherwise they're going to be looking in the wrong directions. So yes, I will say ahead of time that the gameplay is not all one take. It's one take between areas. For example, here to the first meeting with Rat Patrol is one take, but after that it's just like, okay, I can't get that it's on one take. This is one of the most difficult things in the entire game. Like, that last room and this room are two of the hardest things to get right on this route. You use the gun to distract a bunch of guards, have the footsteps to attract the guard so he doesn't see you, move away from that area so that he won't see you once he checks out your footsteps, walk all the way up there to get up to this guard, knock him out, run to this area, into the cutscene.
It's me, Snake. Snake, it's me.
Huh? Otacon.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Snake. Allow me to introduce Metal Gear Mark II.
Metal Gear.
That's right. Just like Rex. But this gear's not a weapon. It's a remote mobile terminal designed to provide you with operational support.
Where are you?
I'm in the Nomad. Where else? I'll be watching you through the Mark II.
Wish I was good with gadgets.
Hey, I'll be with you in spirit. Anyway, because you had to dress up as a militiaman, I had the Mark II bring you some goodies. Starting with this. Put it on your left eye.
Looks like an eye patch.
I call it the solid eye. It's an all-purpose goggle that displays radar images and other data in 3D. You can also switch it over to light-amplifying night vision.
The rebels are out there.
It looks like they've got the government's PMC troops beat, at least in numbers.
And this is their home turf.
Snake, I know this is a sneaking mission, but you'll need to protect yourself.
An operator.
I installed a suppressor. And here's a tranquilizer gun.
How thoughtful.
It predates the implementation of the system. By some miracle, it was never recycled. It's getting tough these days finding decent guns that aren't controlled.
You coming?
Of course. I'll follow you wherever you go. Like this. I'll activate stealth so it doesn't attract any attention. If you need it, just bring up the start button menu.
Got it.
Snake, the informants who said they saw liquid here should be a little further up. Head for the rendezvous point. I've placed a mark on the radar in the upper right corner of the solid eye. It's a war zone out there. Stay on your toes.
Okay, for this area there are two things you can try. One, you can try to eliminate all of the enemies of the PMC side. It'll make running through this next area completely easy. They'll let you in for free, basically. Or you can knock out two guards and run right into the militia's hideout. The problem with this is that they'll see you as a potential threat. If you just stand still for like 30 seconds every time, they'll let you pass eventually. But I want to go through here fast.
It's pretty dark in there. Switch the solid eye to night vision.
This guard has a habit of hearing you if you're getting a little too close. So knock him out with a tranquilizer gun. I chose to do that method instead of throwing him to the ground, because if you throw him to the ground, they'll know that he was attacked. So if you don't do that, but if you trank him, they'll just think he fell asleep. So this routing is just avoiding combat at all costs and really just getting out of the way of anything. I'm basically hiding and then trying to get past enemies until I find a proper disguise.
Hey, they need reinforcements up top. You ready to roll? Yeah, I'm good. Great, let's go. Right behind you.
This guy right here is really weird. There are ways of sticking him up from the other side, but I found the way I did was more reliable. That's another guy that there's no reason not to tranquilize him. Same with these guys. Trying to crawl past them is just a slow nightmare. It is pretty much universally better to just go for headshots, since they're both standing targets, as opposed to other ones who are running targets. Here, I need to collect a smoke grenade and a stun grenade. The stun grenade will be used. Smoke grenade may or may not be. It was supposed to be used for about 2 different spots, but I decided against it as the strategy is a bit iffy and inconsistent. Anyway, now the portion of hiding away from enemies is about to end. And I also have to point something out. If you think that my play has been sounding very strange, that's because I forgot to turn the music back on, because I was practicing this with no music on at all. So, I go into the menu and turn it back on. So now, once you're in the rebel disguise, they will not have any problem with you running here at all. Even though Snake still doesn't really fit in, you'll still go through. So anyway, Snake will magically take off his disguise, and let's see who's upstairs.
Pretty sweet, huh? Whoa, hold it. Watch where you pointing that thing.
Who are you?
Neither enemy nor friend. Voila.
You're not with the militia, and you're not PMC.
I'm a weapons wholesaler. All shapes, all sizes. But there's no need to worry, because all my shit's been laundered.
Laundered?
You see, I take ID guns like the PMCs use and make some mods. Then you can use them without having to match IDs. In other words, I'm a gun launderer. You can call me Drebin.
Drebin?
Yeah, they use that for all of us.
There are more of you.
All over the world. Not that I ever met any of them personally. Me, I'm Drebin number 893. You ain't a registered PMC employee, are you? You need a guy like me. Consider it a welcome gift. Take it. The M4, the official carbine model used by the U.S. Army, developed from the M16 service rifle. This one's a top-of-the-line model, real popular with the big PMCs. High precision, not like that government issue shit. It's, free-floating, of course. Relax, that barrel's clean.
Is the hider CQC compatible?
The beauty of this sucker is that it's got a lot of customizable parts. Change it up the way you want to meet your everyday needs.
Flip-up sight, rail system. Not bad.
Yeah, well, you know, I get a lot of noobs around here. And if you need them, I got a wide selection of aftermarket parts as well.
The frame's pretty rigid. No rattle.
Go ahead, give her a squeeze.
I can't pull the trigger.
Really? That's weird.
What's weird?
Wait, I got it. I bet you're using an older generation of nanomachines.
Older generation?
Sometimes they don't really jive with the new system.
Seriously, who are you?
Whoa, slow down. Oh, yeah. My day job's working at AT Security. I'm in charge of production control. So I get my hands on all the ID chips before they even register. Have a sip. It's a side of AT the public don't see. From the looks of it, you ain't with any state army. But you ain't exactly green, neither. You've got last-gen nanomachines. So I'm guessing, former U.S. Army. I don't know what you're here for. But you want to be well-equipped, am I right? So, can we talk business or what? You won't regret it.
What's your take on him, Otacon?
I don't particularly like the guy, but it looks like we'll need his help with those ID guns. Sonny's been doing a little sleuthing for us. Drebin, a well-known gun launderer in war economy circles. He's a businessman who deals mainly in selling black market firearms to small PMCs and local militia. Somalia, the Balkans, Lebanon, Darfur, Chechnya, Timor, Peru, the Punjab, Kashmir, Colombia. This guy really gets around.
How's he pull it off, anyway?
You can create a non-ID gun by replacing the ID recognition chip with a counterfeit version. This enables you to bypass the ID recognition process and use the gun. The problem is that there's still a record of the chip being replaced on the system side. Drebin's an employee of AT Security. He must have connections on the inside erasing records for him.
You think the Patriots are involved somehow?
I'm not so sure. If the Patriots were running the system from behind the scenes, then a weasel like Drebin would be a real pain in their collective ass.
Can he be trusted?
Remember, Drebin's a green collar. He makes his living off the war economy. He doesn't let emotions get in the way of business, and he never gets his own hands dirty. The only thing he trusts is money. I share your concern, but what if we keep him at arm's length? Use him only to get intel and the supplies we need. Keep it strictly business.
All right.
So, we ready to make a deal or what? Okay then, let's talk business. This is a war zone. There's product coming in here by the truckload. And you'll be picking up a lot of guns in the field, I'm sure. Whatever guns you don't need, I'll take and buy them off you. That'll earn you points you can cash in for services.
Like what?
I'll launder your ID guns, no more locks. And I can also sell you the guns I've got in stock. Let me show you. To ensure you can use non-ID guns, I'm gonna have to suppress the old nanomachines you got in you. Otherwise, they'll interfere with the system. Here, stick yourself with this. It's full of suppressor nanomachines. Relax, it won't hurt. You're scared of needles or something? See? No sweat. Now you can use non-ID guns, no problem. Hey, be nice to our guest. Step outside.
Boo.
There you see? No problem. From now on, when you pick up an ID gun that says lock, you just let me know. You name it, I can launder it. Of course, it'll cost you. The going rate depends on the war price at the time. gotta give this shit a rest.
Looks like you're doing pretty well for yourself.
You might say that. What with the war economy and all, and the system clamping down on things. System codes are the law now, and control's essentially absolute, paving the way for fat profits if you're willing to bend the law. Demand keeps on growing thanks to the war economy. I sell ID guns to the PMCs and state armies, and naked guns to terrorist groups and paramilitaries. And these ID guns can't be sold on the black market. System's practically a license for us arms dealers to print money. Privatizing the military's made the PMCs big and bloated. And the fatter the PMCs get, the line between civilian and soldier is gonna get real blurry. Sooner or later, the whole damn human race is gonna be green collars. More like we're all gonna be fighting proxy wars. But hey, this war economy puts the food on my table. You're a green collar too, aren't you? Yeah, it's in your eyes. You've seen a lot of combat.
What makes you think you know me?
Nothing to be ashamed of. I'm the same way. I grew up here too. I got no interest in the outside world. All right then. If you need me, holla. We specialize in speedy service. Catch my drift? I have you.
I know what you're thinking, but Drebin does have a point. The world depends on war, on the war economy. Can you imagine what would happen if war just disappeared overnight?
Otacon, you and Drebin both mentioned something about a war price earlier. What did you mean by that?
It's a kind of market price, one that fluctuates according to demand, not only for PMCs and military industry, but for the production, distribution, and energy supply networks that support them. It's been growing by leaps and bounds, and investors are really starting to take notice. As the fighting in any given area becomes increasingly intense and prolonged, the war price goes up. No doubt Drebin's rates are linked to that war price. The longer and bloodier a battle becomes, the higher service prices are going to get. To put it another way, the quieter things are, the better the bargains. Snake, we'll use the Mark II to deal with Drebin from here on out. He's what you might call a street vendor. The Mark II can act as a kind of delivery boy, connect you with him. I'm adding a Drebin menu item to the Mark II's weapon menu. Whenever you pick up multiple units of the same weapon, any extras will automatically be sold to Drebin. Any ammo that's inside gets added to your cache. In other words, you keep the ammo, and the weapon itself gets traded to Drebin for points.
I see.
You can then use the points you've earned to unlock ID guns or buy new weapons.
Sounds good.
We should assume Drebin has other agents collecting guns for him besides you, Snake. You know, freelance green collars who collect weapons in exchange for services?
Guess I'll have to rely on him for now.
Okay. Now go meet up with our informants, Rat Patrol.
There are a couple of minor things you can do to go through this urban ruins a bit easier. For example, you can pretty much dive right into anything where you only have to go to a half crawl or to a duck walk. You can dive right over this clean, save some time, and right there, save so much time that I immediately squandered. Here's just a weird glitch you can do. If you crawl and then get up, you can avoid the stun that Snake gets during that cutscene. A minor optimization you can do here is when you cling to the wall, pressing right in a certain rhythm. I get it wrong, and I don't think I get the speed I need. And I'm pretty sure I also fall. No, I do not. That was a different take. So...
Who's there?
Go away! I'm not done yet!
Stop! Stop right there!
No!
Get back here!
So, now this section, it has a specific strategy that's a bit tricky. Not hard, but tricky. It's just like you have to get aim on a smoke grenade correct. But because I never got it properly done in a run, I just decided to take the safe strategy since I was doing very well for myself after failing the first 2 portions repeatedly. So instead, I go completely around the combat instead of like smoke grenading enemies to let me bypass them.
Sniper, high ground! The rendezvous point is just up ahead.
That area is covered by PMC snipers.
Roger that.
Boy, this is gonna be tough. If only you could find a route that takes you behind them, avoids them altogether.
So right here, I have to crawl, because otherwise I will be seen by that truck. And just because the truck's out of sight for you now doesn't mean that once you're out of it, out of the alleyway, that you're out of sight. You're still out of sight. The snipers in the apartments take forever to spot you, so they are not as good, not as bad of a problem as you might expect. Normally here I would use smoke grenades to just run past them, but because they're too out there, I just decide to tranquilize them. As long as I hurry through this area, I will keep going, or I should be able to bypass them before any new enemies will spawn. Right there was one of the luckiest moments of the entire run. That was not planned or anything. I was just like, okay, there's guys coming, what can I do? I hid in the corner. And right here, you can duck, well, I think you can actually just run right through here and enemies won't spot you. It's about here-ish where they might spot you, but I'd play it safe and duck walk. And now we've made it to our destination with Rat Patrol Team. But right before then, I decide to swap out my weapon. I decide to double check my weapons to what I'll need for the most difficult portion of the entire Act 1. And actually what I think is maybe the second most difficult portion of the entire run. If you remember in the first incarnation of this game, when this game was initially released, every act required like a big install. Thankfully that's been fixed through what I can only describe as a super patch, but like It was a relief to finally hear that intro song after like 5 minutes of waiting.
Officially designated Irving.
They give these things way too many names. It's like
wildfire.
Irving, lizards. It's like, I know the name you'll hear most is Gecko. So I'm just kind of glad they don't fucking... I'm glad they don't overcomplicate it by everyone calling it by different names. It's mostly Gecko. If you're wondering for the discrepancy, yes, the cutscenes and gameplay are recorded separately. And when I first started recording the cutscenes, I forgot to change my, or forgot to remove the camo ahead of time. Because, oh no, I didn't forget to remove the camo. I forgot how you could remove the camo. It's by shaking the controller.
Metal Gear.
That's right.
Kojima loves his in references, so here's a reference to, I believe, Snatcher on the MSX. I'm not sure what it is, but the monitor looks very stapled on. Like it doesn't fit with the rest of the design.
In numbers.
And this is their own turf.
I like the detail of showing the emotion of the soldiers. It kind of lets you see like what exactly their state of mind is at the time. This is the first part in which you get non-lethal weapons, and it's a godsend if you're going for non-lethal route, because avoiding enemies up to this point without doing something, or without a weapon, is really tough. This might sound weird, but I actually think they gave the robot too much personality. It's to the point of like, I don't know if it's trying to show that like Otacon is too try-hardy, where he like puts so much detail into machines, but not into a lot of other things around him. But it just seems like really overkill. I wonder if I is supposed to be that Drebin is also always watching you. Not that he only has you, but that you're always in his sight as well. Anyway, a funky monkey drinking soda. The best image. I like to point out, Snake has apparently deliberately removed his own suppressor from his gun.
Who are you?
Why?
Neither enemy nor friend.
It's kind of weird that Drebin makes a lot of callbacks to Snake's past. Is this, did he also read Nastasia's book? While a lot of people have problems with Drebin as a character, or his usefulness to the story, I think that he was still an integral character to the not necessarily to the plot, but to the gameplay. I'm not really sure if, like, because the thing is with a lot of Hideo Kojima games is what he wants the world building has to be in line with the gameplay mechanics to an extent. So the idea of having a specific person to do it, as opposed to Otacon, like, does make more sense to me. And the fact that it's handled much like currency and is, like, in essence, a rewarding factor for your skills, it kind of makes more sense to me that this would be somebody who Snake doesn't know, as opposed to Otacon, where it's just like, why the fuck won't you just give me this shit? Also, I find Drebin just very entertaining as a character. Man, this is a weird amount of, like, attention to detail they're going with Snake picking apart this gun. It's like some weird thing for gun nuts, just like, look at this. It's like we love the detail to guns as much as you do.
I can't pull the trigger.
Really? That's weird.
I'm not sure I necessarily like a lot of the psych mechanics into, or like into the cutscenes.
Sometimes they don't really jibe.
Because I think sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. If it's really affecting Snake's psych that much, shouldn't it be on all the time instead of just, oh, here's a few times when his psych drops?
Former U.S. Army.
I believe Snake's actual or origin is in the Green Berets.
You won't regret it.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna regret it. Let me talk to my neck first. From what I understand, Narc is actually a reference to another Hideo Kojima game. It's apparently like some drug that was common in, I think, it was either Police Knots or Snatcher.
You're scared of needles or something?
Last time I was sick with a needle, I had a fucking virus that killed 2 people. Technically 3, I think.
There you see? No problem.
I'm not sure why that actually. I'm not sure why not being able to fire a gun or being able to fire it would like increase or decrease the psyche of somebody like this.
Of course.
Like, I think Snake would actively be aware of the fact that obviously it's not him that's the problem, especially with things with like guns. Especially since that has happened before. Why didn't his psych drop when his AK-47 failed him before?
I got no interest in the outside world.
Oh, so you're a lot like Otacon then. Ha! Also, I'd like to point out that another Japanese game where they just assume the black guys have to be associated with guns. I'm not judging, it's just a weird trend. Because I got the other one that comes to mind is I think his name is Barrett from Final Fantasy VII. Oh no, maybe 2 games aren't a trend. Oh wait, what about the guy from Final Fantasy 13 who is just who's like the only one who uses a gun that's actually like just guns, and everyone else uses sword or some weird weapons. My brother had pointed this out to me, and it is really noticeable now that the game is 8 years old. But Guns of the Patriots, wall and environment design has aged fairly badly. Like, a lot of the wall textures are just terrible, even though facial detail is still very good. The idea that, like, the Mark II can carry guns to and from Snake is fucking laughable. The size of some of the guns I'll get later, like, would not fit at all with on that frickin' tiny robot he has. Also, some of the weapons I collect also wouldn't fit in Drebin's, or in Otacon's little robot. So yeah, I will say that I do agree with a lot of common consensus that a lot of Johnny's scenes do not fit the tone of this game that well. But then again, it always feels like Kojima likes the idea of concurrent stories, and whether or not the concurrent stories necessarily fit together, it seems to never necessarily matter to him. I've noticed Kojima seems to be putting a lot of the sillier elements earlier and earlier into his games, like the element of like just Johnny's potty humor is kind of, that was like halfway through Metal Gear Solid 1, and now it's like 10% of the way into Metal Gear Solid 4. And at 1848, we have our grunt of the night. A guard trying to overturn a barrel that Johnny's in, he makes this noise. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time when Snake meets up with Rat Patrol Team. And holy crap, the forced fights in this game are brutal on extreme.